diner, and then a whole town into a live demo of what real leadership looks like. Give me a few minutes, because this starts with bacon and coffee and ends with a community redesign nobody saw coming. The aroma of fresh coffee and bacon sizzling on a flat-top griddle hung in the warm, cozy air of the Route 78 diner, a little roadside haven in rural Georgia, where locals swapped news, truckers grabbed a hot plate, and life usually ran on predictable rails. You know, the kind of place-checkered curtains, booths worn smooth by decades of elbows, a kitchen bell that punctuates the day like a metronome. On that afternoon, the diner felt normal, stable, almost boring in the best way, until the kind of unexpected input that changes an entire system walked through the door. In the corner by the window sat Malik Johnson, 16, black, slim, medium height, wearing a faded gray sweatshirt and simple jeans, sipping soda and working through a plate of fries. To most people in the room, Malik looked like any other kid killing time. Maybe waiting for a ride, maybe just enjoying a break. But if you knew how to read the subtle signals, you'd have noticed something else. The way he sat with his back to a wall, the way his eyes tracked reflections in the glass rather than staring, the way his posture held quiet readiness without performance. Malik wasn't trying to be seen. He was trying to stay alert. He'd spent years in the Army Cadet program, not the Hollywood version with yelling and swagger, but the disciplined grind of training where you learn body mechanics, situational awareness, de-escalation, and above all, how to stay calm when everyone else loses their operating point. He carried himself like someone who'd learned that adrenaline is useful only if you can control it. There was a small silver cadet badge pinned discreetly to his sweatshirt pocket. It wasn't there to show off. It was habit and identity marker for a purpose bigger than himself. And the diner's whole mood dropped like a voltage sag. 5 burly men stepped inside, leather jackets creaking, heavy boots thudding on wood every step, sending a message that they didn't care who was watching. Their jackets carried the emblem of the Iron Claws gang and outfit, known across a few counties for intimidation, petty rackets, and violence that always seemed to land on the people least able to push back. The leader was towel broad, a jagged scar cutting across one cheek, eyes cold with the kind of boredom that comes from thinking you're untouchable. His name was Travis Cole, and he moved like a man used to rooms making space for him. Heads went down. Forks sped up, conversations shrank to whispers. Even Ruby, the friendly middle-aged waitress who'd been working this diner for 20 years and had seen everything from broken-down engines to broken-down marriages, tightened visibly as she approached them with her notepad. Travis looked around, smiling like a guy who enjoys breaking things just to hear the sound. "Look at this little farmhouse of a place," he said loud enough for everyone to hear, voice dripping contempt. "I think we can have some fun here, don't you, boys?" The others laughed, and one of them, a guy with a skull tattoo on his neck, reached over and deliberately knocked a customer's coffee onto the table. "Oops," he sneered, not even pretending it was accidental. "Guess you're going to need a refill." A young mother with 2 small kids sat frozen at a nearby booth. One child started to cry the moment Travis drifted closer, because kids recognize danger the way sensors recognize heat. Travis leaned down, grinning. "Hey, easy there, little guy. Don't cry. Mommy's going to protect you, right?" The gang laughed again, feeding on fear the way rust feeds on moisture. That's when Malik finally raised his eyes. He'd seen this program before, a small group applying force to a room, banking on everyone else doing nothing because doing something feels risky. And like any engineer who understands feedback loops, Malik knew that if no one interrupts the loop early, the system runs away fast. He stood up slowly, placing his soda down as if he had all night, as if he wasn't even breaking a sweat. His voice was firm, controlled, no theatrics. "Leave them alone." The diner went dead silent. The calm in Malik's tone was what really cut through, because it didn't sound like a teenager trying to be brave. It sounded like someone who had already modeled how this could go and wasn't impressed. Travis turned toward him with a theatrical laugh. "And who are you to tell me what to do, kid?" He stepped closer like a predator testing boundaries. "Some kind of hero?" Malik didn't flinch. He stayed standing, but relaxed, his shoulders loose, feet planted with the quiet geometry of someone who knows where his center of mass is. "I'm just saying you should think twice before bothering the wrong people," he replied with a slight smile, eyes locked on Travis. "If you've ever worked in high-stakes systems, You know the kind of calm that comes from competence, not arrogance, just certainty. The other gang members slid into a semicircle around Malik, trying to make him feel small. The skull tattoo guy reached for Malik's arm, first classic intimidation move. Malik pivoted a half step, redirecting the grab with a smooth sidestep, then used the man's momentum against him. One fast rotation, a tight strike, and the gang member hit the floor hard enough to rattle plates. No wasted motion, no angry flailing, just a clean, efficient response. The entire room gasped. Travis's smile twitched. Two more men jumped in at once. Malik moved like someone who drilled this 1,000 times. He slipped a punch, blocked another, countered with short, precise strikes aimed at destabilizing, not showboating. One tried to grab him from behind. Malik dropped his weight, drove an elbow into the gut, and finished with a kick that put the man down. Another lunged with a sloppy swing. To the diner, it looked like chaos. To anyone who understands training, it looked like a well-tuned control system. Detect threat, minimize exposure, neutralize efficiently, reset posture. Ruby stood frozen holding a tray. Customers gripped booths. Even Travis hesitated now, recalculating risk. Malik squared up in front of him, breathing steady. "You still want to keep going?" Malik asked. Not taunting, offering an exit ramp. Travis's face was red with humiliation. But before he could decide, sirens rose in the distance. The police were on the way, someone had called. Travis pointed a finger at Malik, backing up. "This isn't over, kid. We're coming back to teach you a lesson." Malik didn't chase him. He didn't puff up. He just gave a calm, almost bored reply. "Only if you're dumb enough to try again." The Iron Claws bailed out fast, boots retreating, engines starting, pride leaking out the door. The diner exhaled like a pressure valve releasing. Applause broke out, relief first, admiration second. People came over thanking Malik, patting his shoulder, calling him brave. He finished, tossed a couple dollars down, and walked out with the same calm he'd had walking in. What Malik didn't know was that someone in the diner had recorded the whole thing on a phone. The next morning, his own phone started detonating with notifications. Messages stacked up, missed calls, video links. The clip was everywhere. Diner hero teen takes down bikers style headlines. Comment sections exploding with praise. People weren't just hyped about the fight. They were stunned by his composure. "We need more kids like him," one top comment said. "Skill is one thing, but that calm, that's leadership." Malik sat on his bed staring at the screen, half amused, half anxious. Viral fame is a weird kind of heat sudden, bright, unpredictable. But Malik was the kind of kid who looked at a new variable and immediately asked, "How do we use this for something useful?" That afternoon, he went to the community center where he volunteered, a building that functioned like the town's heartbeat after school sports, study rooms, mentoring programs, a safe place for kids who needed structure more than they needed another lecture. When Malik walked in, the center erupted in applause. Kids ran up like he was a superhero. Mr. Henderson, the director, shook his hand with pride. "Malik, this video showed people who you really are. Not just tough, steady, a leader." Malik smiled, embarrassed, but his eyes stayed serious. Because he knew the Iron Claws weren't just 5 guys in a diner. They were a symptom of a bigger system failure. Kids with nowhere to go, men trapped in violence loops, fear that kept good people silent. If this moment was going to matter, it had to scale past a single fight. With Mr. Henderson and other community members, Malik started using the attention as leverage. Like a good engineer repurposing an unexpected resource, he redirected the spotlight into an anti-violence campaign and mentorship drive. He spoke at schools. He organized weekend sports clinics. He pushed a skills over streets program for at-risk teens. Donations started coming in from people moved by the story, modest at first, then bigger. New equipment arrived. More kids signed up. Parents started trusting the center as a real alternative to the pull of gangs. And while Malik was building forward, Travis Cole was seething in an abandoned garage with his crew. He watched the viral clip on loop, feeling the humiliation burn. But something else was happening under that anger. For the first time in years, he remembered being young, remembering he'd once wanted to be a better man before the Iron Claws became his identity. A week later, Travis did something no one expected. He walked into the community center alone. No jacket, no crew, no swagger. Just a man carrying the weight of his own choices. Malik saw him and immediately went on alert, body shifting into readiness. Travis lifted both hands. I didn't come to fight, kid. I just want to talk. Malik studied him for a long second, then motioned him to a quieter corner. Travis's voice started tight, cautious, then cracked open. He talked about joining the gang young, about how violence became normal, about how every attempt to step away felt like betrayal or death. He pulled a crumpled photo from his pocket, his 10-year-old son smiling. I don't want this life for him, Travis admitted. I don't even want it for me anymore. I just don't know how to get out. Malik listened without interrupting, like a clinician letting the full log run before suggesting a fix. When Travis finished, Malik put a hand on his shoulder. Everybody deserves a second chance, Travis. If you're serious, I'll help you. That sentence didn't fix the town overnight, but it started a new feedback loop. Travis began coming to the center regularly. At first, people didn't trust him, understandably. Trust is earned in iterations. But Malik held him to real work. Travis started fixing bikes for neighborhood kids, helping with center renovations, speaking to teens about what gang life costs you, recruiting a few of his old guys to come in and do the same. Some refused. Some mocked him. But a surprising number were tired and ready for a different program. Slowly, the iron claws began to dissolve not through a raid, but through attrition of purpose. Former gang members became mentors. Kids who'd been easy targets found protection and direction. The tension that had once lived in the streets started to drain away, replaced by weekend games, tutoring sessions, and real relationships. Journalists showed up asking how a 16-year-old had pulled off what adults couldn't. The answer wasn't magic. It was systems thinking with a human core. Intervene early, offer alternatives, build identity around contribution instead of destruction. One evening, Malik was organizing a youth soccer tournament when Mr. Henderson called him up to a makeshift stage. Ruby from the diner stood there too, along with Travis, looking cleaner, calmer, more like a man rebuilding himself piece by piece. Henderson presented Malik with a plaque that read, Leader of Hope. Malik took it, eyes wet, and kept his words short. This isn't about me. It's about all of us. It's about what a community can do when we work together instead of looking away. That night, Malik walked through town noticing changes you can feel without measuring instruments. Kids riding bikes without fear, families on porches, laughter where there used to be silence. The system wasn't perfect. There was still work, but the direction had flipped. And it started because one kid in a diner refused to accept intimidation as normal. So here's the question for you. Do you believe small actions can trigger big redesigns? Because that's what this was, a single intervention that shifted a whole network. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Share this story with someone who still believes in second chances and strong communities. And if you want more stories where courage meets real change, hit subscribe. Tomisa Riponan.